don't want to hear that. Getting sick just listening
Hey,
to
Devin,
it.
did you want to mute?
Oh, I'm not on mute, huh?
Oh, sorry.
Was I? I'm sorry, guys.
Fine.
You're good.
All right, we're not doing anything yet.
We are
Tara,
unmuted.
Tara, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, did you hear?
Who was, I don't know who's speaking, but I could hear someone.
It's Arlene.
Oh, hi, Arlene.
You hear from Don?
No, I haven't heard anything.
He called earlier or emailed earlier and said he wouldn't be here because his wife is in the emergency room with some stomach problems. So he probably will
Okay.
not be. Okay.
All right.
That's the only one I've heard from so far.
I haven't heard from anyone, so I'm expecting everybody else. I did hear from Councilmember Kelly that he would be joining
Okay.
virtually.
Yeah, that's right. Not that it works. An attorney. Don't we need
Lindsay?
an attorney? Bill or Keith.
I don't know.
Don't see it here yet.
Well, Lindsay, there's two of you and one of you looks really different.
Timothy's my evil twin.
Probably not the work session.
Okay, can I get my council members to put their cameras on so we can see you? Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. See your happy faces. All right, I think we can get going. We've got most everybody. I think we're just waiting. The only one we're missing still is Sally at this point. So can I have Gisela, can you give us an introduction, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. My name is Gisela Escobedo, and I'm here with the Community Language Co-op. And one more time, I want to say thank you for practicing language justice. Thank you for giving an opportunity where people can participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in, or the language that they practice at home. So to create this space, we're going to be using simultaneous interpretation. So when I finish saying this in Spanish, we will turn on interpretation and you will see a globe icon on the bottom of your bar that says interpretation. If you're not fully bilingual, I ask that you select your preferred language. If you're bilingual, you don't have to do anything about it. If you're going to be presenting or facilitating, please be aware of your speed, knowing that Spanish takes 20 to 25% longer than English. You can also mute original audio so you don't hear both languages at the same time. Hola a todas las personas, mi nombre es Gisela Escobedo y estoy aquí con la Community Language Co-op. Quiero darle las gracias a los organizadores de este evento por practicar la justicia del lenguaje. Gracias por crear un espacio donde las personas pueden participar e involucrarse en el idioma de su corazón o en el idioma que practican en casa. Para crear este espacio vamos a estar usando la interpretación simultánea. Así que cuando termine de decir esto, vamos a aprender interpretación y usted va a ver un icono de globo en la barra de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si no eres completamente bilingüe, te pido que selecciones tu idioma preferido. Si eres bilingüe, pues no necesitas hacer nada. Si vas a estar hablando o presentando, por favor, sé consciente de tu velocidad. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and turn on interpretation.
Thank you. I'll call this work session for Sheridan City Council to order at 6:05 PM. It's May 23rd, 2022. Can I get a roll call, please? Surprised her.
You did, usually we don't do that for work session. Councilmembers Hall,
Present.
Stang,
Here.
Daigle, Mayor Bartlett,
Here.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Here.
Smith, Kelly.
Here.
We have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Our first item tonight is the Housing Authority meeting. So I will call the Housing Authority to meeting to order at 6:05 PM with the same members present. Our first item is the minutes, the presentation and approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Stang. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Not seeing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Members Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Mayor Bartlett,
Yes.
Whitaker, Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is the audited financial statements, presentation and approval of the 2021 audit report from Hinkle and Company, PC.
Mayor, may I interrupt just real briefly?
Sure.
I got an email from the city attorney saying that he needs a new invite to the Zoom meeting. If somebody could please send him, email Bill a new invite. He can't find the one that Jenna sent, he said. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Thank you.
Devin, I just sent him one. This is Jeff.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Chief.
Lindsay, do you want to introduce this topic or?
I'd like to introduce Timothy, and I'm going to butcher your last name, so I won't say it. You can say it yourself. He was our auditor from Hinkle and Company, and he will be presenting the results of the audit for us.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Ahopelto, and I'm an audit partner with Hinkle and Company, and I'm here to present your 2021 financial statement and single audits. We usually have three items we go through in our presentation. The first one discusses our audit approach. The next item to discuss some of the items in the required communication that you should have received a copy of. And then we leave some time for questions and answers and any questions you have regarding the financial statements themselves on Sheridan Housing Authority. With that, we have a three-step process with regards to our audit approach. The first part of our audit approach involves planning. Planning involves understanding and updating the operations of the housing authority, as well as any changes that may have occurred over the prior year. Part of our planning involves some understanding of internal controls and testing any control features we deem needed to key into our substantive financial and compliance work. The next part is the testing. Our testing involves the single audit compliance work, as well as testing the balances and transactions of the housing authority itself. The compliance work usually involves testing participants and households in the authority for eligibility, as well as testing the costs and activities. And this particular housing authority has one program, which is the HUD Housing Assistance Payment Vouchers. As you note in the schedule of findings and question costs, that is the major program that we have tested this year. Once we are done with our testing of balances and compliance with the major programs that we have determined to test, we issue reports. We issue a report on the financial statements, and we issue a report on the authority's compliance with the major program that we have tested. And the reports are unmodified or clean on the financial statement and the compliance side. If you notice in the back of the schedule of findings and question costs, we did have a finding pertaining to obtaining obtaining consents, as well as from the participant households, as well as informing them that their income verification is going to happen. And we can discuss that later if you like. The next item we like to talk about is some of the items in the required audit communication. This is kind of a standard discussion of our responsibilities as well as the results of the audit. The primary discussion regarding our responsibility is the obtaining of reasonable assurance rather than absolute assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. We also have noted that there were no corrected or uncorrected financial statement adjustments that came about as a result of our audit procedures. There were no disagreements with management during the course of the audit. There were also no significant difficulties encountered in performing the audit. With that, I'll open it up to questions. Hopefully I can give you a sufficient answer, and if not, I will look into any answers that I need to research further.
I guess if you want to start with maybe just telling a little bit more about the finding that you did have, and we'll see
Okay.
if any other questions come up.
Me flip. It's handy it's good to have that handy. So it's basically, there's a requirement in the congressional federal regulations that the housing authority obtain release forms with regards to obtaining information from third parties like employers. HUD usually has some prescribed release forms that participant households will sign off on when they come in for recertification or initial certification. And then they also have a privacy notice for each family member over the age of 18 years of age. And what happened was we selected a sample of 40 households to test, and actually it was 20 households. I apologize, I'm getting my Englewood and Sheridan mixed up. So, and that 20 versus 40 has a little more to do with the number of participant households that the housing authority serves. And but regardless, we found one participant where we weren't able to find the consent release forms required by the congressional federal regulations and HUD. And that was 1 out of 20. So I think the cause really had to do with the difference in timing between that participant household's annual reexamination and completion of the documentation file. And a part of our recommendation was that the authority add the participant household consent forms as close to the reexamination process as possible, and management. Lindsay and Ron have given us their response to this finding. We were fine with their responses. Lindsay, if you have any input, or hopefully that wasn't too traumatic for you.
It's fine. I can clarify a little bit on kind of what Timothy is talking about. To start the certification process 120 days before the certification is actually due. And that is a HUD regulation, and that just gives us lots of time to meet different deadlines. And so what Timothy mentioned is one of the consent forms went missing in between sort of the start of that 120 days to the day that everything was completed. So what we put together for a corrective action for the finding was to actually start scanning everything in. We are very paper-based, and we don't necessarily have an electronic filing system. We do have a secure server that backs up, to the cloud every night. So we are now scanning basically all the paperwork that comes into the Housing Authority office. So if something gets misplaced in between the 120 day and the first day or the last day, we can find it in our server. And we've created kind of a folder structure to organize everything. And so far that is working really well for us.
Just maybe a little, there have been some, the AICPA likes to change things up every, I'd say 10 or 11 years. And one of the things you might notice that's different from last year is the auditor's report, as well as the report on compliance with major programs. The audit report has actually, back when Jim and I were in our younger days, we could actually memorize 4 paragraphs of the audit report as a part of the CPA exam. And now it's like 2 or 3 pages long. So I just preface that to say that there's been a change to the format of the independent auditor's report. It's basically, it starts off with the opinion on the front page. So you have a paragraph or 2 that talks about what we did, as well as the opinion on the financial statements or the major program that we tested. Then it gives the basis of the opinions, and then it gives the responsibilities of the management and the auditors. The auditor's responsibilities is about a page long with about 5 bullet points. And then there's the last couple pages have some required language with regards to required supplementary information, supplementary, all the other schedules that go along with the financial reporting package, other information. So that you just wanted to make everyone aware of that. The auditor reports have really kind of moved towards plain language and emphasis on getting the auditor opinion out, I guess you could say, out of the way. I hate to say out of the way, but kind of putting that at the front of the report.
That's probably for the best. That way people actually get to read it and
Yeah,
Don't get bogged
I
down in
think,
some other things.
yeah, the last iteration, it was probably somewhere in the middle of the second page before you got to the opinion. So, this kind of puts it, it puts it more in the front. I think they were writing this audit standard probably sometime in 2019, and they just kind of deferred implementation of the auditing standards due to COVID. So that's a little nugget of a background regarding what's happening with auditing standards, which no one has any interest in other than Jim and myself and our audit team. So,
Yeah, well, we're mostly just glad to hear it's a nice, clean opinion.
yeah.
That's good news. So anybody have any questions about the audit report for this year? No? Okay. Guess we can move on to approval then. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Sally.
Oh, hi, Sally.
All right. You can't see me. I'm not.
That's not turning towards you.
All right,
So I'm
motion
turning
made
away.
by, oh, sorry, go ahead. Motion made by Board Member Whitaker and seconded by Board Member Daigle. Any further discussion or questions on the audit? I don't see any. Can we get a roll call vote on it?
Member Stain,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Bartlett,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks for all your work on that. We appreciate it. I know it's can be a bit of a slog probably for the staff, and appreciate you getting through that.
All right, we try to make it as easy for them as possible.
Good, good. All right.
Well, thank you for letting us serve your assurance needs, and we look forward to working with Ron and Lindsay February, March of next year.
Okay. Seems like it comes around faster every year. So we'll see soon.
Yeah, the shuttle goes even faster every year.
All right. Thank you, Timothy.
All
Appreciate it.
right, thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Timothy.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, we'll move on to the financial report, the presentation and approval of the financial report.
All right, more juicy
We have-
financials.
Oh, boy.
Overall, everything looks really good. I actually have some good news to report from HUD. If you take a look at the balance sheets and the income statements for the program, which is the VO_SHA report, we got a little bit more money from HUD. Been talking about for a while that we've been working on this reconciliation to basically shore up what we've spent on voucher payments and what HUD owes us. At this point, they gave us about almost $14,000. Now that's not enough. We need about another 31, but they did come forth at the 14 and we got that in April. And they've kind of elevated our reconciliation process to kind of the top of their list. And it was on the back burner for a while, but they've moved it to the top to help us get through that 30,000. Ron, our financial services manager, has been going back and forth with our friends from HUD, and looks like some of the issues date back to like 2004. So they're really trying to just peel back some of those layers and make the numbers match. And so basically with the reconciliation, when HUD has the same numbers that we have, then they'll pay us. And we're still off by like $10,000, which doesn't seem like a ton, but every penny really does matter. So Ron is working with our field office, the financial field office, to make those numbers meet, but we at least got some funds. So if you look at, it's less negative instead of, it was
You're cutting out a little bit. Can you make sure you're looking right at your microphone?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Our negative net position decreased from 27,000 roughly. So we're getting there. We want that number to be 0 or on the positive side, right? So we're working through that, but it's good news that HUD has really engaged us in that process, so we can have the funds hopefully sooner than later. Any other questions about the financials?
I don't have any. Oh, Annie?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
Second
A
that.
second.
Motion made by board member.
Sorry, Jay.
Hall.
Jay, I beat you.
Motion made by board member Hall and second by board member Kelly. Any other questions on the financials? Don't see any. Can we get a roll call, please?
Members Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Bartlett,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Next, we have the program reports, the presentation and approval.
So program wise, everything's looking good. In April, which is our most recent month to report on, we leased 157 vouchers of the 177. That has our monthly budget expenditure at 96% and year to date 100. As I've said before, we want that to be a little bit higher. I do mention this in the program report that we have actually pulled 25 names, the first 25 from the Sheridan lottery, in hopes that we lease up anywhere from maybe 4 to 7 families. That's kind of the number we're looking for to add to our voucher count to just get our spending. We want our spending to be a little over 100% for the year to date and at least 100%, at least 98, but closer to 100 for every month. So that is why we made the decision to go ahead and pull from the lottery to get those numbers up a little bit. So you can see we've got 598 folks. In the lottery, we pulled the first 25. And if you remember, it's folks with preferences. So we're going to be serving folks that are living or working in the city of Sheridan first.
Great. Anybody have any questions about the program report? Either about what Lindsay's shared with us or what they saw in the reports? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the program reports.
A second.
Motion made by board member Stang and seconded by board member Daigle. Any other questions on the program reports? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Members Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly, Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Bartlett,
Yes,
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
thank you. And we have the manager's report.
So as I mentioned, we're going to pull those names from the lottery. We sent the letters out last week, and our general process is to send out 1 batch of letters and emails, give folks 2 weeks to respond. And the folks that don't respond, we send another email and another letter, give them another 2 weeks. If they don't respond, they are removed from the lottery. And of course, if they do respond, we start working through their application to see if they qualify for the preference at this point. If they qualify for the preference of living or working in the city of Sheridan, then we move forward with background checks and income and all that other good stuff. So when I see you guys in 2 months, I should have a good update of what we ended up getting from this pull of 25. We're doing really well with the grant. We've decided with our Division of Housing Partners to extend the grant through March of 2023, kind of for 2 reasons. We have unspent funds, and of course, we want to spend those funds and help families. Secondly, they want to pull us onto their sort of normal grant cycle for this type of grant. They do this type of grant quite a bit, but our exact funding source is a CARES funding source. And so it's federal monies. These other grantees that are in the program, they normally are funded through some of the marijuana tobacco funds and their state funds. And that normal cycle is an April 1st cycle. So instead of renewing us in September and continuing to have these different cycles that they have to manage, we're going to extend our grant through the end of March. We're going to put out an RFP maybe December-ish for us to reapply for another 2 years for the cycle that would start April 1st. And when we do that new cycle, that's when we're going to bring Inglewood in. We were hoping to bring them in sooner, but we can't really modify the grant as we have it right now. And we did think it was best for the current program and the families of Sheridan to extend the grant as is, to spend everything through the end of March. And that's still going really well. We're helping a couple families every single week and continuing to just identify more and more families that are experiencing homelessness or at risk of experiencing homelessness and getting them stable in their housing. I think several of you attended the homelessness forum last month, 2 months ago. Time flies. And Jorge, who is our partner from the school district, spoke really positively about the program during the forum. So it's a really great program and we're happy to have it. Other than that, just status quo. Not much else is going on. That's a good thing.
So it sounds like you're going to get lined up for a more consistent funding flow then, since you can't rely on the CARES dollars, right?
Right. And we actually would prefer the state dollars. They come with a lot less strings. One of the things we are running into with our grant is that we have to have an adult member of the family be documented because it's federal funds are attached. And once we flip over to state dollars, that wouldn't be a requirement. And that does prevent us from helping a few families here and there.
Okay, great. Sounds like a good move. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments on the manager's report? See head shaking no. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the manager's report.
I'll second.
Uh-oh. We'll give it to Jay this time. All right. Motion made by Board Member Kelly, second by Board Member Whitaker. Any other discussion or questions on that manager's report? Can we get a roll call, please?
Members Kelly,
Yes.
members Hall,
Yes.
Stain,
Yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfluer,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
and Miss Madam Chairman.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business, and then we have, oh, we already did the approval of the audit report, didn't we? So I jumped ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize there was a resolution at the end here.
No, it's fine. It kind of fits. It's a better flow to do it right with the report.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have anything else? Anyone have any other questions for Lindsay before we let her go? Don't see anything. Okay, well then we'll adjourn the Housing Authority meeting at 6:33 p.m. Thanks very much for being here, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
See you soon.
Okay, get back to our agenda, and we've got the Colorado Charge Ahead Grant Award.
Thanks, Mayor. I think Ari and or Andrew were going to walk us through this one.
Yep, thanks, Devin. So in your packet this evening, you will see resolution number 11, 2022, and then a small dollar grant award terms and conditions. I made a really nice memo kind of explaining all this, but I guess it didn't make it in the packet. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. So this February, we applied for the Charge Ahead Colorado grant, which is a vehicle electrification grant. It provides funds to construct the infrastructure for charging electric vehicles. So we were required to make a 20% match, and we were awarded the max award, which is $100,000 with the expectation of 2 direct current fast chargers, which are kind of like the gas pumps of, EV chargers. So where you'd have like a level 2 charger would take, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours to get a full charge in your car. These chargers go 15 to 30 minutes. So, a nice talk with your city manager at Sheridan, or, a walk to Veterans Park, or maybe see your kid at school, something like that, and your car will be ready to go. So this grant program was funded through the state, through the Energy Office, and it is part of the electric vehicle plan for the state of Colorado, which the goal is to get 940,000 electric vehicles on the road by 2030. It's a pretty ambitious goal. And the state feels that it's kind of a difficult burden for consumers to take on themselves by installing chargers at home. That is obviously still an option through different funding sources for people. But I like to think of it this way. I don't have a gas station in my front yard. I have a front yard. And so we can't expect everyone to really be able to have that kind of infrastructure at their homes. We have a lot of renters in Sheridan. So just giving people the infrastructure to adopt this new technology will be kind of crucial to it being successful. I did a little bit of research when applying for this grant. We found that when our chargers are constructed, they will be the only fast chargers in the Tri-City area on public property. So there are some DCFC fast chargers at King Soopers in Englewood, and that's the closest fast charger. There's nothing to the west until you get into Lakewood. Kind of the north is kind of iffy in Denver. So I think this is a big deal for kind of the Tri-Cities area, for Sheridan. Some of our neighbors, Littleton has level 2 chargers for public use. Again, those are kind of the 6 to 8 hour charging times. So if you could leave your vehicle overnight, it's a great option, but we all know that there's a lot of commuters in Sheridan. So giving them that opportunity too. So you'll see resolution 11, I kind of said that already. And so, we're hoping that would just authorize the city manager to, use these funds, and when accepted, which we'll be accepting, we're waiting on our purchase order. We've accepted. So, I think it's a great opportunity. It's kind of groundbreaking, literally and figuratively. And yeah, it'll be, one of many things to come for Sheridan. So I'm happy to take any questions. I have a little bit of supporting update stuff to go on with that afterwards, but it's pretty boring stuff.
Hey, Ari, could you tell us 2 things? The timeframes that we have involved with this, and where you're looking at the locations specifically, and how you had discussions with the school district about that.
Totally. So time frame, these funds have to be spent within 6 months of acceptance and the issuance of the purchase order. We're seeing in the supply chain, unfortunately, that transformers have a lead time of a year right now. So the state is being very understanding of issuing new funds, and still, not holding people to complete account when they can't complete their project because they're waiting on a transformer. And then specifically the spaces that we're planning to use will be in the northwest corner of the shared parking lot. So that's just in the entrance, right when you pull in, there's 4 parking spaces. The chargers will go kind of in that grassy area, we'll put a concrete pad down. And then those 4 spaces will be reserved for electric vehicle charging. Yeah.
So it's 2, so you'll have 2 devices, and then they can each charge 2 cars. Is that how that works then?
That's correct, Madam Mayor. So each charger has 2, I think they call them portals or something. I don't know why it's not like a pump or whatever, but they have 2 opportunities to connect a vehicle. So they'll be kind of centered in, in between both parking spaces. There'll be 1 accessible parking space per grant requirements. And so we could have up to 4, and that would be great. We'd love to see something like that. I don't know if we will see something like that initially, but I think as we see more EVs coming on the streets, that's definitely a possibility.
I am, and I'm not opposed to this, and I think it's fine. But I want everybody to remember, we live in a community where the majority of the children get free and reduced lunches. Our average median income is, I remember right, 37,000. I cannot afford electric automobile. And I know the majority of our residents and our people cannot afford electric automobile. Just keep that in mind. I'm not poo-pooing it, and I'm not saying this is wrong. And I'm thinking we're thinking way out there, a long ways, but just remember that.
I think it depends on what kind of vehicle you're talking about, because there are little runarounds, that are pretty affordable. I know that there's one catty corner from me here in the neighborhood that's
I
a
think there's
little leaf, so.
there's a few people that could do it, but when you're on a free and reduced lunch and you only make 37,000 a year, the average.
People manage to buy cars somehow. You know.
Yeah, they
No,
can
I'm not-
manage cars, but it's, and how many in our last comprehensive plan, we had a count on the amount of households that did not have a vehicle at all.
Right. There's lots.
And I
Anyway.
think also that's a lot of the reason why we're using grant funds, right?
Yeah,
So
I
we
agree.
want to go after it's kind of a low hanging fruit opportunity, and we can see how it would work. And that's why we're doing it on our property and seeing how it work. And I hope it's successful. I share some of your same concerns about it. But I'd like to see this kind of maybe be looking at a phase 1, and maybe then we engage the private sector and look, maybe if we do some phase 2 over in River Point or something like that, talk with, the larger retailers over there about partnering with us on getting some stations there. And just FYI, so the county's looking at some point, I don't know when it's going to be, but they're looking at trying to put together a larger plan about, all right, we ought to coordinate where these stations go, right? So that we're making geographic sense of it as well. So I think it's just kind of the real initial steps right now, and we want to leverage those grant funds, and so we're doing it on the cheap and seeing how it works for our community.
And I like I say, I'm not opposed to it at all, but I just want everybody to keep that in mind, that and I think it lays the future. I think, yes, this is going to be the future, and someday it'll all phase out. Right now, I don't think so, but anyway,
Right.
I think it lays the ground, good foundation.
Well, and the cool thing about it is that we'll have the stations, maybe that will incentivize, businesses like the school district and the city to maybe switch over to some electric vehicles for their, tooling around. That would be kind of also another bonus, but I totally agree with you. You are right. And the piece, I think that a lot of people are kind of wary about getting an electric vehicle. My house, I'd have to completely redo my electricity in order to get one. I mean, completely, because of course my house is kind of, it was built in the 1950s. So it wouldn't be able to handle an electric charger for my own privacy, for my own private use or whatever. So there's that too. So I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that.
I would love
because
to
it
have
is-
one someday.
I would too. Yeah. Apparently I believe it's the Dodge truck is a beast, from what I heard.
Have you driven one? You should just go drive any electric vehicle. It's just fun.
I know, right?
I would say that the federal government has issued, I believe, $5 billion for school bus electrification. The
Exactly.
school is definitely a partner in this with our shared parking agreement. So the attorneys are working out an agreement that will allow for us to construct this infrastructure should we move forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
These fast charging systems, they require, a temperature management system that not all EV cars have. Also, it's not recommended to do the fast charger more than 1 out of every 10 charges. I wonder if you'd also consider like have one of them level 2 and one of them level 3 so that you can accommodate the cars that don't have DC charge capability yet.
Says the guy that works in the auto industry.
Right. That is certainly an option that we can explore with the state. They have already issued the funds. We have not necessarily accepted them or, started on the project. So it's something that I could bring up with my contact at the energy office and see if that would be a possibility, given that they have already awarded the funds. So I will make a note of that and look into that, definitely.
Thanks for the question.
It's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I
We'll
guess
see
I'll
what
go
kind of
buy a
thinking.
Tesla.
Oh, we're twisting your arm, huh?
Yeah, you twisted my arm. I guess I'll go get one.
Get 2, I'll take 1 too, Terrence, thanks.
Yeah, I think they got some on the low end for like 25,000. That's not too bad.
Last time I checked, I think the Nissan Leaf MSRP is like 28 or 29,000, $7,500 from the feds tax credit and 2,500 from the state. It's a $19,000 car. That's a pretty good deal. Maybe you could get a deal with one of our council members.
Okay.
Other than that, we are working with Excel Energy to get the supporting infrastructure for the supporting infrastructure. So that'll be done at no cost to the city. And we'll bring the transformer and paneling and trenching straight to the site. So that's a pretty awesome program. And this was not really on your agenda or anything, but we were awarded a higher emissions community by Excel Energy. So any property that redevelops will have access to some additional rebate programs that they only offer to higher emissions communities. And I mean, highways, that's the high emissions community. So that's pretty much the update. Just hope you'll consider resolution 11 when you see it this evening.
Yeah, I just looked up that Nissan Leaf. No thanks.
It's not pretty, it's just cheap.
No thanks.
It's cute for Councilman Kelly.
And not all of the Leafs have the ability to do fast charging. It's a upscale option.
Anybody have any other questions or anything, or we can move on? Got a couple other items.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Ari. Appreciate that. And congratulations on getting you a grant.
Thank you.
All right, let's we've got the remote participation resolution. I still don't see Bill on. Was he going to lead us through that one, or can you do that, Devin?
Well,
Mayor, I'm here.
Oh,
you're
there, Bill's there. Yeah, I'm trying to talk as little as possible because I just start coughing.
All right, we'll let Bill take it away.
So the plan would be, I've sent Devin a draft of electronic participation policy, which would take effect upon, there would be the conditions where you would feel that it was practical or, impractical or infeasible to hold a live meeting, and then it would be through electronic participation, and then setting up the terms and conditions of those meetings. But to do that, what we would need to do would be to, one, terminate the disaster declaration, which was done in 2020 because of COVID, because it was geared particularly for that, and the disaster declaration and the continuation of the disaster declaration, which was done by council. So we would terminate that, and we would also terminate the amendment to the council's rules of procedure that were done specifically for the disaster declaration to hold the electronic participation meetings. And then that was also continued because we did it to allow quasi judicial meetings. And so the idea would be to clean out what we had done and then to do a resolution going forward to adopt after we terminate the disaster, to adopt a new council rules of procedures to set forth a new policy for when you can hold electronic participation meetings. My only question would be is, I put it when it would be not practical or feasible due to an emergency to have a live meeting. So the issue is, do you want to expand upon that language or somewhat modify that language to consider a situation as you currently have, where it's not an emergency, but it just is not practical to have a live and an in-person participation meeting. So I
Yeah,
could broaden
definitely.
that language.
I think that makes sense. I think that we all know that something like today, it's just kind of common sense to maybe not get everyone together. So I think we need to have that ability in there.
Okay, so I could draft the language. The city manager, Devin, has the policy to make it a little broader. So do you want it to be the discretion of the mayor then?
If everybody's okay with that.
I mean, if
think that would
everybody's
be-
okay with that, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Okay with that.
Okay, looks like we're generally in agreement here. I don't see anyone saying no.
I think
Okay,
that
so
works.
then what I would do is just amend that. I'll work with Devin to make it a little bit broader. And then at the next meeting, we could bring up a resolution terminating the disaster declaration, and then also repealing and reenacting council's policies regarding electronic participation meetings. So when you felt it was not feasible or practical, that you could hold an electronic participation meeting. And I think some of the things that are really key are common sense, that we would still want to try to the extent possible to make it so people could participate as a live meeting. So when counselors speak, they have their cameras on. And we would also just for clarity, want to do roll call votes and just those other factors. But it's really a good option that kind of fits the situation that you had for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. You know, we've all gotten used to this and we're comfortable with it. So when the circumstances make it sensible to have a virtual meeting, then I think we ought to be able to do that. So I appreciate you drafting that up.
Okay, so I'll prepare those for the next meeting. And one thing that's really been a plus is because the city has upgraded its technology, so the process works very well now, as opposed to what you had before.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I will take care of that and work with Devin.
Great, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I wanted to point out another provision we have in there. And the reason that we had it on your work session tonight was to give you guys some opportunity to go through it, spend some time thinking about it, and let us, we'll have it at the next meeting. But we have provisions in there around quasi judicial, where we will be sure we ask the applicant and give them the choice of whether they want to continue with their hearing virtually, or would they prefer to wait until we have an in-person quorum and go that way. So for some developments or for some applicants, it might be easier for them to make their presentations and they prefer to be in person. But to Bill's point, we're in a much better place than we were when the pandemic hit, and are able to conduct those meetings. And I think we've talked enough about process to where we understand that. There is another provision in there that says, though, to make sure that your camera's on, you're alone, right? You're not at a coffee shop. You're not, not a lot of extraneous things going on. If it's an exec session, there's nobody else in the room with you.
Right.
and overhearing issues that should not be overheard, and vice versa. If we're in the middle of a quasi judicial process, there shouldn't be extraneous comments coming in, and that type of thing that distract from that formal proceeding. So please take a look at it still. So we're kind of short on time and we haven't gone into it in too much detail. And I'm not going to be able to talk enough tonight to go through it with you guys in too much detail, but take a look at that and let us know between now and the next meeting if you have some additional changes that you want considered. And we'll carve out a little time in the work session to go touch base back with this. We'll look at Bill's new language and then make sure we've covered everything before we ask you to adopt.
Great, thank you. Okay, anybody have any other questions on that? We have a few more minutes. If not, we can.
We can touch base on tonight's agenda. Is that what you were saying, Mayor? I'm sorry, I was coughing in the middle of it.
That's it. Yeah.
We'll just touch base on that really quick. Oops, wrong agenda. I'm pulling up. So we have first reading of the ordinance that adopts the new building and building code and building regulations, which we reviewed with you at our last meeting, and there's been no changes to that. So hopefully we don't have any further questions regarding that. Then we have two resolutions. One of the resolution is to approve the grant agreement for the Colorado Charge Ahead grant, which we just talked about. And then the second resolution is approving the IGA for the opioid abatements between the Arapahoe County and the city. So that's what we have talked about as far as setting that IGA sets up the regional committee or subcommittee. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me right now, but sets that committee up and who will be what that makeup of that committee will be, what their charge will be in moving forward for dealing with the opioid disbursements when those start to come out. So I don't believe that there's, Bill, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's been any changes from the last time we showed it to council and talked with them. So it should be pretty much what we talked about before. We will be represented. There will be one representative from the Tri-Cities that will represent the Tri-Cities on the committee, and the city managers, we still need to meet and discuss and come back with you guys with some kind of a process whereby we'll decide who that is between the three cities. And that's again our major role in that. And be happy to see if there's any questions about any of the agenda items tonight, Mayor.
Do we have any questions right now? You can always ask later during the meeting if you think of anything. Yep. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and adjourn the work session, 6:58, and we'll regroup in 2 minutes for the regular meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So we'll start off with another introduction from Gisela. If Gisela's back, maybe she's still on break. She wants you to end interpretation and then we'll restart it.
Let me see here. Okay. Thank you. I was trying to talk. Hello again. My name is Gisela Escobedo, and I'm here with the Community Language Corp. And one more time, thank you to the organizers of this event for practicing language justice. Thank you for giving an opportunity where people can participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in, or the language that they practice at home. So to create this space, we're going to be using simultaneous interpretation. When I finish saying this in Spanish, we will turn on interpretation and you will see the globe icon on the bottom of your bar that says interpretation. If you're not fully bilingual, I ask that you select your preferred language. And you can also mute original audio so you don't hear both languages at the same time. Hola a todas las personas, mi nombre es Gisela Escobedo y nuevamente gracias a los organizadores de este evento por practicar la justicia del lenguaje. Gracias por dar una oportunidad donde las personas pueden participar e involucrarse en el idioma de su corazón o en el idioma en el que se sienten más cómodos. Para crear este espacio vamos a estar usando la interpretación simultánea. Así que cuando termine de decir esto, van a aprender interpretación y usted va a ver un icono de globo en la barra de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si no eres completamente bilingüe, te pido que selecciones tu idioma preferido. Si eres bilingüe, pues no necesitas hacer nada. Cualquier pregunta vamos a estar en el cuadro de plática para que si tienes preguntas. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can turn on interpretation.
Thank you. So I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council for May 23rd, 2022. Time is 7:03 p.m. Welcome, everybody. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Hall,
Present.
Stang,
Here.
Daigle,
Here.
Mayor Barger-Fleur,
Here.
Councilmembers Whitaker.
Here.
Smith. Kelly,
Here.
you have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to excuse Councilmember Smith's absence, please?
I'll make a motion to excuse Councilmember Smith.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Stang and seconded by Councilmember Daigle. Can we get a vote on that, please?
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Barger-Fleur,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith, oh, sorry, Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Can we have an invocation followed by our Pledge of Allegiance? We're ready for
Oh, that
that.
would be me.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
calling on you.
And the owl thing is like spinning around and it's kind of.
It's trying to find you. There you are.
Kind of creepy. I gotta tell you. Heavenly Father, we just ask that you continue to pour out your blessings over the city of Sheridan. Pour out your blessings over our staff, administrators, those that come and go in the city of Sheridan. And of course, all of those citizens that we are charged to make good decisions. And Lord, we just ask that you continue to give us the wisdom and the forethought to make those good decisions for our citizens and for our city. We also ask at this time, Lord, that for all of those that are ill, that your healing hand be upon them and that they make speedy and fast recoveries. And as always, bless and keep our police, our fire, our EMT personnel, keep them safe, Lord, and watch over them. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Flag
of the United States of America,
States of America,
to the republic
for which
for which it
stands
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly, for having a flag for us. Something to look at.
I got a bunch of flags in this room. I got the Mexican flag, the Colorado flag, the American flag. Yeah.
I don't know all those pledges, so we'll just stop with that one for tonight. All right. Do we have any changes to our agenda tonight?
What changes tonight, Madam Mayor?
Thank you. First item is the financial reports. We'll receive and file our financial reports.
I will move to receive and file the financial reports.
I will second that.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Hall. Any discussion on the financial reports? I don't see any. So can we get a vote, please?
Councilmembers Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Bagel,
Yes.
Mayor Fleur,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have time for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to speak to council tonight, this is an
Not at this
opportunity.
time.
All right, thank you. That was quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The last time I checked, we didn't have any audience, so that makes it pretty fast. All right, staff reports, city clerk.
Nothing to report tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. City attorney.
Nothing to report, Madam Mayor, though I was expecting to hear something from the city clerk.
Just waiting for you.
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's going on?
Again.
Intrigue. All right, well, maybe we'll hear something later. All right, city manager, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Mayor. My update is I do have COVID and my family has locked me away in a room for the last 2 days, leaving
Good, they
food
should.
outside the door and knocking every once in a while to make sure I'm alive. So they don't want to get, it's the last week of school and they've got finals and continuation. So they're trying to stay as far away from me as they possibly can right now, which is good. But I'll try to be very brief because I can't talk too much without I start coughing. We did hire a new homelessness coordinator for our Tri-Cities group, Mike Sangren. And Mike is currently the director of Change the Trend. So you probably run into Mike here or there or heard us speak with him. I'm very, very happy he accepted that he accepted the position, and that should be starting. He'll go and we'll do a little transition here for a couple of weeks, but he should start, and really already is working on the work plan as we speak. So we're very glad to have Mike on board. And along the line with the home.
I might have to have you back up because we lost you. At least I lost you. Did he freeze up for everyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now, right after Mike, whatever you started on next.
Something's going on with my, let me turn my video off.
Okay.
And that will maybe keep me from getting disconnected. I was just saying we are continuing to work with a group, the Ready to Work program that has offices in Aurora and Boulder. And we've talked about them with council in the past. This is again a program that combines emergency housing with employment and other services with that. So they bring the homeless off the street, give them a place to live and a job to work at. And we are have been working with them for a couple years now, and they have located a building. It's a very nice building over on Windermere. So over on the west side of Inglewood and just to the east side of Sheridan. It's be a nice central location. And was able to get a tour of that building. They're probably a good, they're closing, I think, later this month or so on the building, and they'll begin the remodel. So it's still going to be not until next year that with the remodel and everything, they'll be ready to start opening that. And in the meantime, they've volunteered to do some tours of their Boulder and or Aurora facilities for our elected officials. And I'll get in touch with you and let you know. We'll be setting those up here probably this summer, and would be a good opportunity for you to go out and see their operations and then have a good idea what we're looking at with their facility here. So the only downside to all that, I think that's where I got COVID, was doing that building here. So yeah, there was a whole bunch of us all packed together in a building. So I think that might have been it. Anyway, and then my last thing, I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to ask Andrew. Andrew, I think I saw you there. We want to have Andrew tell you some good news about a brownfields grant that we received.
Sure, thanks, Devin. Yeah, so we were awarded the Federal Boulevard Brownfields grant. So you may have seen the press release that came out from the EPA. There's going to be a press event in Denver here on Thursday. You'll probably see a lot more coming out after that event. But they did release the awards. If you'll remember last October, that's the meeting that we had John Hill with Economic Development and then Dave Wilmoth with the Environmental Department in Denver. They kind of came in and did an overview at that meeting about what a brownfield is and kind of how the grant works. So for those of you who don't know, a brownfield is basically any kind of underutilized or vacant buildings that either has some sort of contamination or there's a perception that it's contaminated. So what these funds can do is they can come in, they can do some testing to see if there actually is contamination. And then if there is, they can go through remediation to clean them up for redevelopment. So there's a bunch of different things we can do with this grant. We're pretty excited about it. So our next kind of action item, we'll need to do an IGA with Denver and then probably some sort of MOU with Urban Land Conservancy because they are a nonprofit. So they're the third partner on the grant. So after that, we'll kind of put together a committee of Denver representatives, Sheridan representatives, and really what that committee is going to do is vet the projects that come up. So we anticipate we might have more requests for funds than there are funds available. I believe it was $500,000 we were funded for. So what that committee would do is kind of look at the projects and establish some criteria for awarding funds. So then after that, we just get to spend the money. I think it's at least a 2 or 3 year grant process that we kind of have to spend it out. So it's pretty exciting. We think it really complements the other things that we're working on along federal with Bonsai Flats, the Federal Boulevard study that will be kicking off later this year, and then our bus stop improvements, which I heard fixtures will be delivered sometime later this month. So the benches are on their way to Sheridan.
Nice.
I'm happy to answer any questions anybody
So
has.
just for clarification, the brownfield study is going to go from about Dartmouth to how far?
Sure. So the overall extent for the study, I want to say it's 6th Avenue in Denver all the way to the southern border of Sheridan.
Oh, okay.
So
I was just talking for us.
anywhere,
So
all our
all the way
entire
to,
part
like,
of federal.
Union, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Right, so hopefully this will help to set the table for then future efforts that we want to look at as we look at federal as a corridor. And does this set the table for us doing further corridor planning for that area, coordination with City and County of Denver on their efforts as they come south? Because if you've been up in Denver, if you go north up on federal and see a lot of the work that the City and County of Denver has done on federal as far as cleaning it up and the median work that they've done, the ingress egress work that they've done a great job of cleaning up that corridor. And they were interested in partnering with us, and as they move those efforts towards us, and then we can kind of piggyback on that effort as it comes down through Sheridan and give us an opportunity for possibly some future grants or future efforts as far as how do we look at improving federal as a corridor through Sheridan. And I think, Mayor, that's all I've got, unless anybody has any questions for Andrew about the EPA grant or anything else. Be happy to answer questions. And just to let you guys know, I'll probably be out of the office this whole week. I'm told I'm supposed to quarantine for at least 5 days or more. So hopefully I'm back in the office next week.
Don't rush it.
Yeah.
Will the
While we're
bus
talking, sorry, while we're talking about the brownfields grant, I just wanted to mention I won't be able to go to that Thursday ceremony. I don't know if my pro tem might want to go to that, but I'll throw it out there while we're on the call here. You can maybe get the info from Amy and see if you would want to go, Councilmember Daigle. But I can't make that. So, and I don't, are any of the city staff going to be able to go to that event? And obviously you can't.
I think Andrew said he'd be available to go. and could represent us there on the staff side, but we'd be happy to have an elected official as well.
Time.
I believe it's like 9:30 to a little after 10 a.m. And it's up by Sloan's Lake. It's by the new Alamo.
I have an 8th grader. My granddaughter's continuing at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Okay.
don't miss that.
Well,
But if anybody else is interested, let us know.
yeah, if any of you other electeds are available and interested, you can go hang out with, go schmooze with some other people up there. The councilmember, Congresswoman DeGette and somebody else, I forgot, some EPA people.
Yep.
That's this Thursday.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, like the mayor said, if you're interested, shoot Andrew an email and he can get you details.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just glad.
That's all I've
Andrew
got,
can know at
Mayor.
least. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, you have anything for us?
Yeah, I have a couple updates and a follow-up. So just want to touch base, let everybody know that we had the Multicultural Academy. It was a great success. We had right around 40 participants all 3 nights, and we got a lot of great feedback. And then it was kind of funny. My neighbor came to me and said, "Hey, I was over at Mike's Cafe, and one of the folks that washed the dishes there was talking about how wonderful the police department put on this Multicultural Academy, and they felt invited and they felt comfortable with the police." And then he goes, "Well, that's my neighbor." So I even got feedback from around the way that was really good. But we did have a really good turnout and discussed some great items, and I think it went a long way with our community. So I was really happy and proud of that. Our staff did a great job of putting that together. So I hope you all have heard some good things about that too. And then you probably saw the new vehicle design that we're just starting to put out. Amy put that out on our Facebook. We have the new truck that we got, and we tried our new vehicle design on there. Just wanted to let City Council know that one of the reasons we changed the design was where we put the white on the vehicles right now. We order them all black and we put the white. They get nicked and chipped real easy on the white, and they kind of look a little bit like they need repair. So we're looking for a different design and actually seeing if we can save some money. So our old design was about $1,400 to $1,600 for those wraps, and our new design is about $450. So turned out that I think we have a very good looking vehicle, and it's actually going to save us some money. So I hope you all like that. I've seen a couple of you liked that on the Facebook post. So I hope you all like it. If anybody has any questions or wants to discuss it further, please let me know. And then just one follow-up with for Councilman Whitaker. We did take the report about, unfortunately, behind Sheridan High School at our Sheridan City Park, there was some vandalism over there where they did some graffiti on the area over there, and then also tried to burn one of the tables and left a lot of trash. So we are looking into that, see if we can find out who possibly did that, and we'll keep working on that. And of course, putting some extra patrol in that area. So if you have any other questions on that, Councilman Whitaker, you can let me know tonight or follow up tomorrow, whatever works for you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I like the new design. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
So it's a
You're
nice
welcome.
bonus that it's cheaper.
Any other?
Yeah,
Yes,
good.
yes, it worked good.
Mhm.
Good. I'm glad you guys like it.
Anybody else have
Any other questions?
for any staff? No. Okay, we'll roll right along then to the minutes of the regular city council meeting of May 9th, 2022.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion on the minutes? Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Mayor Bartley,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from May 1st, 2022 to May 15th, 2022 in the amount of $445,431.09 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle, seconded by Councilmember Stang. Any discussion or questions on the consent agenda? Don't see any. All right, can we get a vote, please?
Councilmembers Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have items for individual consideration, ordinances on second reading. We have ordinance number 3 of 2022, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending chapters 54 and 56 of the Sheridan Municipal Code pertaining to the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Adjustment, and the granting of variances.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 3 of 2022.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker. Do we have any discussion amongst council on ordinance number 3?
Other than a great job. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of good thought went into that, and I think it makes a bunch more sense for us now.
Mhm.
Do we have any comments from the public? I don't see any public on.
No. We do not.
I don't think we have any. Okay, then can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And we have an ordinance on first reading, ordinance number 4 of 2022. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, repealing and reenacting in its entirety Chapter 18 of the Sheridan Municipal Code regarding buildings and building regulations, and setting a public hearing for June 27th, 2022.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 4 of 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Hall. We have any discussion on ordinance number 4?
Just to point out, Mayor, that there, as we discussed around this ordinance at your last meeting, there are some extra notice requirements around adoption of building codes. So that's why you'll see, and there's a note in the agenda that the city clerk made there, that we will not have second reading at the next city council meeting. It'll be the subsequent one.
Anybody have any other questions or comments on this one? I don't see anything. Okay, can we get a vote on that?
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes,
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
thanks. Then we have resolutions. We have resolution number 11 of 2022, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an agreement between the Colorado Energy Office and the City of Sheridan for a Colorado Charge Ahead Grant Award.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 11 of 2022.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hall and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker. Any questions on resolution 11 or comments?
I'd just like to congratulate the staff for securing this. We've been looking at this for a little while now. And there had to be some planning, done in front of that. So we've been looking at doing this for a while. So it's nice to be able to move forward. Appreciate
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that as well. It gives us a little bit of progress on our sustainability goals. So it's nice to be able to see something checked off in that column, even if, like Dallas says, we'll have to see how the uptake is. But, you know, we're putting it out there. We're gonna make it available and we'll see how it goes. Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, let's get a vote on that one.
Councilmembers Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfield,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Then we have resolution number 12 of 2022, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving the intergovernmental agreement for opioid abatement between Arapahoe County and the participating local governments in the Arapahoe County region.
Make a motion to approve 12 of 22.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Stang. Any discussion on resolution number 12? I was just curious if there was any consternation amongst the other cities who aren't tri-cities that we get to pick one person and they all only get to pick one person amongst them. Are they just not really concerned?
I wouldn't call it consternation. I think everybody in the discussions, I'm trying to remember, you know, we looked at everybody gets one vote, and then that would have been a monster sized committee and nobody wanted to do that. And then they kind of pared it down the other way. So we were trying to find something somewhere in the middle. So I don't know that everybody was super happy about it, but I think they felt it was evenly or fairly split between municipal and county representation, as well as geographically across the area. So I think that we kind of compromised to try and accomplish a little bit on both of those and acknowledge those. And I think everybody, I didn't hear anybody with when we were having a discussion about this and had the final recommendations for the IGA came out, I didn't hear anybody that was opposed to it. So I think everybody felt this was a good kind of middle of the road position.
Great. Any other questions or comments on resolution 12? All right, can we get a vote, please?
Councilmembers Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfield,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thanks. Next, we have mayor's choice. Just wanted to, first of all, thank you to everybody for being flexible about this meeting and being able to pivot and, you know, meet virtually or in person as you chose for tonight. I'm glad we could make it work. And then I wanted to ask about, I'll wait for Devin to finish a drink there. If anyone asks us about tree disposal, are we telling them to try to get rid of it during the pickups next week, or do we have any other plans for them?
Yeah, they can do that by cutting the bundles or I should say cutting the branches and bundling them into, I believe it is no longer than 4-foot sections, 3 or 4 feet. I'll have to double check. I think we have it on the information on the card, the postcard that went out, as well as the website. We'll double check that. I saw Amy making a note, so I know she's checking on that. But we don't have anything else, Mayor, other than that at this point. Now, I know that Inglewood is doing collections in Cornerstone Park, I want to say. I can't remember exact, and I don't know if they're checking to make sure it was only Inglewood residents, but I think you can do a drop off over there. A number of cities have drop off, and then we will do curbside, but we'll only do curbside during that collection period, and they have to be cut and bundled.
Okay.
So those are our options right now.
Okay. Amy, make sure you make a note that we can go to Englewood and Littleton, send that out.
Right.
They come, I know we have people from Littleton and Inglewood come to our
Yeah,
bulk
I'm sure they
drop-off,
do.
so that's fine too, right? It's all good.
Okay.
I
That's
drove
all.
by that by the Englewood drop off tonight over in Centennial Park. What a mountain of branches. Oh my goodness. It is huge.
I can imagine. I mean, there were so many down just on my street, but if you have a, a larger city like Englewood, that's a lot of tree limbs. Boy. Oof. All right. That's all I had for mayor's choice. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Go ahead,
do have a
Councilmember.
I have a
For
question.
council members?
Hold on.
What are we doing?
Councilmember Hall. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to know, how are we coming along with our code enforcement officer?
My understanding, I'm trying to think where we are on it, that we had an interview and an offer, and I believe the offer was accepted, and the new officer, she will be starting, I believe, the beginning of next month. So just
Nice.
within a week or two.
I am happy with that. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, it's been in the news, Wheatridge, their last, I believe, winter, it was that there was a house in Wheatridge that had a history of code violations, and the house blew up, damaged the neighbor's home, and she cannot go back now. And it really kind of points to the city that they really didn't push on this guy. But something to consider, please.
No, absolutely. And having the additional having the additional personnel will let us flex schedules as well and get more coverage of the city throughout the week. So that will be helpful as well.
But you know, that brings to mind something. Thank you for that. I was thinking it almost would be an idea to have 3 code enforcement officers. How many police officers do we have on duty per day, per 8-hour day?
On a shift, I'll leave that for the chief to answer. I'm not exactly sure.
It's a minimum of 2 officers and 1 sergeant per each shift. There is some overlap, so the most we'll have is 4 officers and 2 sergeants.
Okay. All right. That's still an idea. Just a thought.
Well, sure, and we can look at, and Dallas, I can ask around and say, hey, for how many code enforcement officers are people using for, per capita or things like that, see where we stand. And I think what I'd like to do is see how this second officer and see how that works. And then see how we're doing from there, and then kind of evaluate and see if whether a third would be required or not. But we'll certainly, keep that in mind and see how this goes with having 2 people. And then that can maybe be a consideration for next year's budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I wanted to give you guys an update on the library. Today, the Arapahoe Library District, there were 4 of the trustees that met with the county commissioners and gave an update. And I just wanted to give you a piece of my update that I gave to them, which is some things that you guys probably don't know about the library. They have a Love My Air program that is happening. Oh, here he goes to the library. He's shaking his head. I love it.
You know that. Ari wrote about it.
Yeah, so Sheridan, here in Sheridan, we have air quality sensors installed. They were installed in September, and the data is available so that, communities like ourselves can look at that data and, make initiatives and change and modify, how we think about air pollution, which is a huge piece of it, because we as Denverites and Coloradans, you know, we live in the brown cloud and what have you, but a lot of folks don't understand it, get it, and understand why us natives are kind of passionate about it, because we kind of, you know, this is important to us, our air and what have you. And also, you know, the seriousness of health issues for elderly, children, your pets, those with breathing problems and respiratory diseases. And then how we as individuals respond to that. So no idling of your cars, etc. And then another thing that is new in the libraries, they've done a lot of wayfinding signs, multilingual wayfinding signs, and maps to get around libraries. That's kind of cool. And then if you haven't gotten your e-card, you can get a library card online, and instead of carrying around, you know, a plastic card. And then also this summer is a reading event, and it is getting lost in the library. And they're gonna have, are you ready for this? Escape rooms set up. Won't that be fun? Yeah. Mazes and scavenger hunts. But the most exciting news, Sheridan Library is being funded for an upgrade. We are updating and upgrading and rethinking, you know, with COVID and the way folks use their library now. A lot of times, especially in Sheridan, it is definitely a meeting place. It is definitely a place for computer use and information sharing and those types of things, and not so much, you know, browsing on the books and what have you, because you can have your books delivered. You can go in for pickup. You can use the cool lockers that are outside. If you've noticed the big blue locker that's out there, you can order a book and they'll put it in there. And so there's touchless kind of exchange happening. They really were very thoughtful. And thanks to Kathleen Roberts, who's on Sheridan Celebrates Committee. And they really thought about our community. So they're one of the things that I really appreciate, because I know that teenagers flock. If you go at 3:30, you will be bumping into teenagers, and they're going to redo the teenager space to give them an actual space. They're redoing the outside, so there will be outside spaces to sit and read a book and what have you. So it's really, really cool. If you want to, I believe that the plans might be on the website, or maybe not yet, but will be. So those are some exciting things that's happening in the library. Just thought you guys might want to know. Come
That's
check
all
it
great
out.
news.
As they say in the library,
Yeah.
come check it out.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. So what's different about the interior then, besides the teen space?
So what they're adding computer hubs or computer, you know, desks and what have you. There's going to be these really cool, the kind of space looking like pods that have tables where people can actually sit and chit chat and, you know, talk. We're going to be adding, I think, maybe a couple extra rooms for like Zoom meetings and private meetings, because during COVID, we discovered, you know, and once COVID started with all the Zoom meetings, people needed a space to be able to go because they didn't have an office. Or, you know, which some of us know that, you know, sometimes it's hard to keep the dog and the birds and your old mother quiet and the kids and the whatever. So there's times that you might want to go to the library to have a meeting or a Zoom meeting or, you know, study or whatever.
Or your power's out all weekend.
Or your power's out all weekend. Yeah, absolutely. You might have to go to the library. But so they've kind of completely rethought how the library is used, which is really innovative and really, forward thinking, because we no longer just go and browse books and pick out a book and what have you. People are using libraries in totally different ways. Of course, here in Sheridan, we also have the telehealth option with the partnership with the clinic, and where people can go and be set up in a room and actually meet on a telehealth meeting, Zoom meeting with their doctor and what have you, and get advice, whether it's mental health or, for their physical health. So very cool.
Yeah.
We're very lucky. We're really, really lucky to have a Arapahoe Library District in our city, because they're just amazing. And some of the programs at the library just would blow your minds. So.
Great. Thanks for that update. I agree.
I have an issue that I'd like to bring up. This week I had an opportunity to meet with, 7 of the elderly members of my ward. And one of them is an ex-military. This is on the early side, but by the next time we meet, I'm pretty sure we're going to be in that month before the 4th of July, where everybody starts testing out their fireworks, and we begin to hear these mortar style fireworks that are really frightening for people with PTSD. And so I'm just wondering if we can start thinking ahead about what to do about the mortar style fireworks as they kind of come back around through next month. I've had the embers fall in my yard, and these older folks were just absolutely terrified that they're going to have to deal with these mortar style fireworks that are illegal, extremely loud, and create embers that fall on their rooftops. Does anybody else have constituents that are concerned about that?
I can tell you from personal experience, my son was in the Marine Corps for 8-10 years, and was in all of those good places, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, what have you. Wherever there was action, my son was there. And that is like absolutely terrifying to him. It takes everything that he has in him to just maintain over the 4th of July weekends and what have you, because it is, it really does. I mean, and they are, when they go off those loud booms, or some of the firecrackers now sound like machine guns going off, and that absolutely, if you've seen a grown man with their head between their knees crying, you would think twice about having a firecracker anywhere near your house, because I absolutely cannot stand them.
What can we do as a group to, prosecute more people? What can we do to make it not the war zone that it's been the last 3 years? The whole month of June.
Oh, yeah. They'll start Memorial Day weekend around my neighborhood.
Councilman Whitaker.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I was just going to say, of course, we've all dealt with this for every single year, and we will do our enforcement like we have always done. But one of the things we could possibly do is see about the police partnering with Denver Fire, and we can go out together. We have done that in Denver in the past. If we do that in Sheridan, it might be a little more helpful. But what we really need to do also is get Amy involved and start getting that information out, so that we can remind people about, the problems that it causes with our seniors and with our war veterans and things like that. We can try to make that a push for that, is something that I think we can do in our city. But of course, we'll start on the enforcement early. Soon as we get, as soon as we start hearing them, we're not gonna wait to enforce. We'll start enforcing right away. Maybe we could, when we do some enforcement, we'll announce that on social media. I think that's about, the best thing that I can think of is starting to use social media on our prevention efforts and our enforcement efforts, combined with the Denver Fire Department to try and make that impact. But as hopeful as I am with all of that, I just have never been able to come up with a solution for that. And no one really has, otherwise would be some rich people if we could really figure that out. But we will, go full head on with it and try to make it no exceptions and do the enforcement. So that's what we can do from our end.
Good. What about
Sorry.
what about an article in the newsletter talking about the effects that these mortar style fireworks can have on people with PTSD, or the notifications, people that have opted into the community notification, sending something out about, reporting these types of things when they happen. A few communications that'll go out so that people know where to report. It's all illegal, but what's the consequence of getting caught shooting off mortar style fireworks? If we did something like that, it's all, just putting it out in front of people, letting them know how it affects others.
Yeah, and Councilmember Whitaker, we'll certainly do all of that. I can promise you we'll have that outreach, and we've done them in the past as well. That kind of as the chief alluded to, we let people know there are stiff fines, and that's pretty much what it is. It's fines around this, but we can also look at some other things. We possibly, one of the hard things is and difficult things is that people are shooting these off at midnight or something, right? And we don't necessarily have code enforcement, or our officers are engaged elsewhere on something like that. It's a difficult thing to enforce, as you can imagine. However, maybe we can look at shifting some of our code enforcement hours as we get closer to the 4th of July. And I know especially like the last 2 weeks in June are usually pretty bad. And people are buying their fireworks and can't wait, and they start to start shooting them off. We can shift maybe some of our enforcement to weekends and evenings. That seems to be the worst times for it. So we can look at that and see if that might be an option as well. Especially if we have another code enforcement officer, it gives us, it's very difficult to have one person cover all those kind of things and do their normal job, right? So, but we can maybe look at flexing some time, and I'll talk with the chief about that, and I'll talk with Randy as well, and we'll see what kind of options we can look at for that. But on the communication side, we'll absolutely put all of that out that we do. If you are aware of any articles that we can either include or link to as far as along the lines of PSTD or other concerns, we'd be happy to link with those and get that word out to people.
Great.
I think that'd be something to do, because a lot of people don't even link those two together,
right?
As far as thinking about military or any issues as far as that. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty. I've been blowing up stuff for the last 30 years or so, and I've never once thought about the effects that it might have on someone until us talking about it right now.
Wow.
So
maybe and great point. And maybe we can reach out to the VFW. Maybe they have some ideas we don't have. And if one of you guys want to do that, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. But I think maybe the VFW would be a resource.
I've gone on ride-alongs on 4th of July in the past, and one problem I know law enforcement has a problem with is you almost really have to catch them with the in hand. Yeah. And when the thing goes boom and it's gone, I didn't do it. That was somebody else, wasn't me. And
yeah, you get a lot of that. Yep. We were just watching.
You chase ghosts.
Yeah, the guy who did it ran down the street.
Yeah, and you're chasing ghosts, and that's a problem. I'm not justifying. Here's another thing: the animals that'll just about crawl out from in their skin. I had a dog one time, the neighbor kid was just shooting the big ones off, the mortar style, and my dog was a mess. And I
Yeah,
had to almost jump the fence and take him away from him.
Yeah.
yeah, and we'll hit that message as well, Dallas, because there's definitely information out there about the animals and and the impacts that it has on them. But you know what it boils down to is, this is my opinion, we'll be doing this battle every single year until the state changes its law. So the state of Colorado says it's legal to have them, but it's not legal to shoot them off. Well, that's just setting up for failure. How are you going to enforce that? So until there's some changes at the state level, I think this will be just an annual battle and something we have to deal with on an annual basis.
Huge business for fireworks people up in Wyoming. I mean, that's huge business.
Sure, there's whole towns up there that live on that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody that goes there has Colorado license plates.
Yep.
I like what I heard.
All right. Great. Anybody else have something for council member's choice?
Before we move on, this is Jeff again. I do have one other idea that I tried and it worked a little bit before, and that is, it's as Councilman Hall was saying, it's very difficult to find out who's doing that. So one of the things that I did was have some door hangers made up, and when neighbors complain, we hang those door hangers on all the houses, including, you know, probably the house that's shooting them off. And we talk about the penalties and the enforcement, and we encourage neighbors to turn in, you know, who's lighting them off. The little bit of success we had with that is people are thinking, well, my neighbors have been put on notice now, and they're going to tell them that we're lighting them off. That's not going to be foolproof. It will be one step in the right direction of trying to minimize it. So I'm definitely open to trying that again. The door hangers aren't too expensive, and we can get those designed and get them ready to go. So we will do that as well. I'll talk to the city manager and make sure he's good with you know, that process, and we'll move that forward and try to help that way.
I like that.
You put on the back side, like some of the PTSD effects for veterans, as well as, you know.
Absolutely. It could be an informational, basically flyer, but we used them as door hangers to hang them directly in front doors. And we have the officers do that. They'll get a call in a certain area, and if they can't do it that night, because that's usually when it's happening, we'll go out the next day. And it tries to put at least the parents on notice, because a lot of times it's the younger folks. It's not always, but sometimes it's the younger folks, and we put the parents on notice, and they look at that fine of $999. You know, sometimes that helps. Again, I wish that was foolproof, but it's not. But it's one more thing that we can do.
I like it.
Jay and I will walk them around our neighborhood when we walk around our flyers for our Parkapalooza thingy.
Right.
That could be an option. I just.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for bringing that up. It was a good topic. Anybody else? Okay, we have an opportunity for public comment. If anyone has joined from the public.
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Then we will adjourn this meeting at 7:55 p.m. and we'll go into the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency meeting. I'll call to order the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency meeting for May 23rd, 2022. And we still have the same members present here. The first item is the approval of minutes of the SRA regular meeting of April 25th, 2022.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Hall. Any discussion on the minutes? Can we get a vote, please?
Members Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfly,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
oops, Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the financial reports. Receive and file the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the financial reports.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Kelly. That's who I heard.
I second.
Any discussion on the financial reports? We'll get a little overview at the end here. Okay, can we get a vote, please?
I'm sorry, Member Stang,
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Butterfly,
Yes.
Member Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of disbursements. Authorize the disbursements that have been or will be made for expenses in the amount of $122,230.54 as referenced below. Legal expenses, none. Other professional services, $13,216.22. City support services, $108,114. Other expenses, $900.32.
I'll make a motion to approve the disbursements.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Stang. Do you have any discussion on those disbursements? Can we get a vote, please?
Member Stagel,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfly,
Yes.
Members Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next tonight, we have a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider an amendment to the 2021 Sheridan redevelopment budget. So I'll recess the regular meeting at 7:59 p.m. to enter into a public hearing to consider an amendment to the 2021 Sheridan redevelopment budget. And I enter the following exhibit into the record. Exhibit A, proof of publication in the Englewood Herald on May 12th, 2022. And I'll invite some opening remarks from our Finance Director, Adler.
All right, everyone. So I think I've mentioned this a few times, but per the bond documents for the SRA, whenever there is extra debt service revenue, once we have done the set aside for the next year, the remaining monies have to be paid to the B bonds. So what happened is we had more money, which is a good problem to have. So that meant then we had more expense for the B bonds. So it's all part of the bond documents. It's all part of what we're required to do, but we do have to amend the budget. Now, if you're asking, why are you amending the budget in May of 2022 when it's for 2021? The reason being is we are required by the state to be within budget. Otherwise, we will be written up by the auditors. So the auditors are aware we're amending this tonight. They actually have the resolution. So they've already kind of tentatively incorporated that into the draft audit. And then once I tell them that, yes, it hopefully was approved tonight, then we won't get that note in our audit that we were over budget. So that's why we're doing it now. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions right now? No, we'll move along. Do we have any comments from citizens or interested parties?
No, not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, any comments from staff or our attorney?
No comments, Mayor.
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions anyone's thought of? No, it's pretty straightforward. We do it every year, really, almost every year, so. All right. Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 8:01 p.m. Return to our regular meeting. Let me get back to that. And we have resolution number 2. Resolution number 2 of 2022, a resolution of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency amending the budget for the fiscal year of 2021 and appropriating sums for defraying expenses and liabilities for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021, in accordance with the statutes of the state of Colorado.
Move to approve resolution number 2, 2022.
Second.
Motion made by Board Member Daigle, seconded by Board Member Hall. Any other discussion on resolution number 2? Can we get a vote, please?
Members Whitaker,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Chairman Biden.
Yes.
You have a quorum, Madam Chairman. I'm sorry. Unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Yeah. Yes.
Must be getting late.
I think that's the last vote for tonight. Thank goodness. Make you do a lot of them tonight. All right. Last, we have the Pinnacle report, what everyone's been waiting for all evening.
Exactly. So, all right. So tonight, on my Pinnacle report, happy to report that the new retailers, things are hopefully moving in that area, which is always a good thing to see because I feel like we kind of were on hold a little bit and getting some good things. So very excited about that. Poor Jess, I always talk to planning and then I talk to the building department. So he gets all my very stupid questions about what these things mean because I don't have a clue what they mean. So when he said on Real Cajun, 1 of 3 life safety permits is ready to issue. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand fire alarm and sprinkler, but what's the third? And it's actually, I didn't know this, so you guys get to hear it, is the ventilation, and I might say this wrong, the ventilation hood, that whatever it is so it won't get in the ductwork, because if it gets in the ductwork, then like the building is toast if there's a fire. So that's actually the one permit that is approved. So now I know what safety permits are. So pretty excited about that. So so that was what's going on with the new retailers. The pledge revenues, man, we continue to be up. We continue to be up, you know, almost 11%, which is always a good thing. You know, when you're hearing, you know, inflation, et cetera, you know, bad, you know, we're still seeing things good. So that's a good thing for Sheridan. So happy to hear that. Continuing compliance, we did file the first quarter continuing compliance report with JP Morgan. We also have letters of credit with JP Morgan for the A1 and A2 bonds that we have to renew every year. Those expire August 22nd. So this is the first time we've done it with Kimco. With Weingarten, they kind of knew the drill and we did it. So so just kind of just started the process, trying to figure out what we need, you know, get everybody involved and go through it for this first time. So we'll be working on that. That will have to come back to the board to be approved once that is done on their side. So just to kind of let you know, and I will keep you updated on that if there's anything that I need to report. The 2021 audit is going really well. We've already got a draft, so I just need to get the MD&A done, and then I'll send it out for review, and then we will get that presented at the June 27th meeting. So it has went really well. The auditors have really stayed on top of it this year, which I can't say that about some of our other auditors for other clients. So they have just been spot on. So it has been really nice not to have to hound them. So so audits are going great. Not getting any comments back from them on anything that they found. So on both the city and the SRA. So happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Just love that chart. Looks good.
I know.
Yellow's my favorite color now.
Oh, very good. Yes, yes.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Teresa?
Is there an ETA on the Real Cajun or the Dutch Brothers or?
I have not heard. I know, I think Andrew might be in the room. I think he said there was walls going up on the Dutch Brothers, but I haven't heard a date.
Hopefully this summer. So very soon, by the end of the summer.
Okay.
And Real Cajun, we have no idea. So.
Funny. Okay. If there's not anything else. Thank you, Teresa. Thanks, everybody. Devin, hope you feel better.
Okay.
Survive your quarantine. All right, well, we'll adjourn for tonight, times 8:07 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
brother.
Bye.
Night,
Good night.
everybody.